Welcome to Gracefully Graying. I'm your host, Attorney Henry Gornbein. Today on Gracefully Graying, I am very pleased to welcome Lynn Breuer and Becky Eizen from Jewish Family Services of Metropolitan Detroit as they lead us in a discussion of a new service they're offering called Retirement Reimagined. Welcome, both of you. First of all, Lynn, tell us about your background.
So I am a clinical social worker, Henry, and it's wonderful to be here. Thank you for having Becky and I join you today. I've worked at Jewish Family Service for the past 16 years, and I work in departments that let us really work on innovative ways to proactively have higher quality of life as we age.
Let's start, Lynn. What is Retirement Reimagined about? I mean, I think it's a fascinating concept, and the whole idea. I've known people. In fact, I just talked to someone about a week ago whose wife said, "My husband, I think he's in the mid 70s. He's a lawyer. He hates what he's doing, but he has no interests or hobbies. So what is he going to do?" So maybe that hits on where you're going.
It does indeed, Henry. Thank you for the wonderful transition. Retirement Reimagined is an innovative program that helps people discover what it is that they need and what it is that they want in order to have a next chapter that's uniquely fulfilling for them. And so many people eagerly anticipate the day when they can finally retire. And after a few weeks of sleeping in or taking a fantastic vacation, a lot of people find themselves just unprepared for what it feels like. Things like the reality of a largely open calendar, where without a lot of structure, weekends and weekdays don't look very different. People underestimate how much of their social interaction each day came from time spent with colleagues, with coworkers, with clients, and that they're a little bit more alone than they used to be. People don't often fully appreciate how much of our identity can be tied up in the work we do or the organization we work for. And without that piece of our identity, many people talk about feeling less of a sense of purpose or meaning in their lives. Some people say, Lynn, I can keep myself running around and busy all day. But at the end of the day, what did I really do that made a difference? There was one person I met at the presentation, and she summed it all up. She said, I retired 3 years ago. My life is good, but I've never felt less relevant. We have so much more to offer. And so Retirement Reimagined gives people a way to figure out what's best for them. It's not surprising, though, Henry, that people struggle a little bit because we have so many years to prepare for the successful transition from being a student to our working years, whether we choose college or a trade school and apprenticeships or internships. We get a lot of help because it's an important transition. But where's all of our years of preparation for the equally important transition to retirement when those working years are over?
It's a good point. Why does planning for retirement beyond finances matter? It's a good question. I guess I've been retired for a while now, and you keep saying, how much money do you need to live on? And I've asked financial people this, and no one seems to know the answer.
No, it's true. And finances are such an important factor to consider. What age is it optimal financially for us to retire? It's really vital, but it is not the only factor to consider. How about how broad our social circle is, or our quality of life, or what we hope to do? We have to remember that the retirement years for most people typically overlap with aging years, where sometimes we can develop health issues. Some people might feel some depression or anxiety if social circles are dwindling. And all of this can have a profound impact on quality of life as we age. And if we have less structure in our lives, less meaning in our lives, less social organizations or opportunities in our lives, we don't thrive to the same level. That's why, while it's important to consider finances, it's not the only factor to consider.
What does Retirement Reimagined offer?
So, Retirement Reimagined is a workshop series. There's 9 weekly sessions to the workshop, and people focus on what they need and want in order to have a uniquely fulfilling next chapter for them. And in the workshop, they learn the tools and the skills and have an opportunity to set goals and create a roadmap to follow to bring their vision of this next chapter to reality. Likely, we all need different things in our next chapter. What I might find fulfilling might differ tremendously from what you find fulfilling, but there's tools we can all use to help us get there. We also gain tremendous peer support on this journey and the other participants sitting around the table with us for 9 weeks. And at the end of the workshop series, people feel that they have a deepened sense of purpose in their lives. They've identified steps to take to bring about their retirement vision into reality. They know what they need to do. They have the tools to do that, and they've formed connections with other people, which is so critical at a time when maybe we lost some connections that we had when we were working.
These are very important points. Becky, now to you. Tell us
Yeah.
about your background.
So I have been at educationally, I have a master's in business, and I have a lot of different initials behind my name, all in the realm of working with older adults. I have been at Jewish Family Service. I left for a small period of time, but probably over 20 years in total. And I am really excited about this program, Henry. It's so innovative and groundbreaking. And I'm honored to be able to share it with the audience.
Let's talk about the courses. I mean, I'm curious. First of all, a couple questions. What are the age demographics of the people that have been involved in it so far?
So it's a wide range. You know, we have had participants that are newly retired. They retired early, and when I say early, mid 60s, perhaps, late 50s, upwards of in their 80s. So demographically speaking, you know, from an age perspective, it's all over the board. We have a variety of different professionals, from doctors to lawyers to plumbers to professors to dietitians, teachers. It's just a wide range of individuals that take the class, and that's where the magic happens. You have a wide variety of individuals that are coming together for the purpose of trying to determine what's next for me. What's the next chapter for myself?
Take us through the courses. There are 9 different sessions, so let's go
Correct.
step through them. I mean, you're going to educate me as well as our audience.
Sure. So we have a syllabus. We're not going to sit around and chit chat all day. There is work to be done. There is homework to be done. Just like with any course you might participate in, what you put in is what you're going to put out. So each workshop course is devoted to different topics, whether it's discussing time management, whether it's discussing, the importance of asking and giving help to others. What is your circle of influence? We reference a lot of very popular management books. And so each course really focuses on different areas and really helps people identify where are their strengths, and realizing that the strengths that you have had and perhaps opportunities when you were working prior to retirement are the skills that you can absolutely use in this next chapter. And you see a lot of people coming out of quote unquote retirement, or they've retired for the second or third time. But to answer your question, each course is dedicated to a different topic of discussion.
Give me some examples.
So
You know,
can I jump in on that one for you if you want?
Oh,
what are
sure.
some key takeaways?
So retirement impacts everybody. So one session is devoted to talking about the impact of retirement on family dynamics and how can someone who's recently retired best navigate the change. It's very different when one spouse or partner retires or when both do. It can also be very different if there's adult children with grandchildren involved, expectations around providing childcare, expectations around financial assistance. There's a whole host of implications in a family when someone retires. So that's the topic of 1 week session. Others are on concepts of proactivity. Others are on, what do you vision if your life was a blank screen in front of you? What would you create if anything is possible? So we obviously can't give you all 9 sessions, right? But those are some examples. So every session builds on the one before. So the order is important. And then about midway through, people start taking the concepts that we've been discussing and the tools that we've learned about and start really mapping out a roadmap for what they want to build in their next chapter and share that with the group.
Yeah. Thank you, Lynn. Lynn and I have worked together off and on for many years, so we very much bounce off of each other. So, yeah.
What are some key takeaways from your experience with the program so far, Becky?
The key takeaways I would say would be it is never too late to envision and create and implement maybe something that you've wanted to do all your life. And we can see historically, many people have had tremendous success and fulfillment in their later years. I think that we have so much to offer as we continue to age. There's a lot of growth that can occur. Change is not always bad. And it's a uniquely fulfilling workshop. It's really the magic happens, Henry, when you meet with these individuals every week for 9 weeks, which seems like a lot, but I have promised you it goes by so fast. To see the growth in the individuals that have participated in our groups.
It's there's a roadmap. What happens? Let's talk about. I have a close friend who he had been retired for a while. When COVID hit, he passed away.
Mm.
And he used to have a theory that life is filled with minefields, and something's going to hit you. You just don't know what or when. But often, you may have a wonderful roadmap planned out, and then illness hits. And especially as we're getting older, more and more people are prone to illness, whether it's a chronic disease or I know of someone who's been dealing with Alzheimer's, and it's just the effects are devastating.
So yes, you're right. We plan, like the old adage, right? We plan and God laughs.
Right.
So I think
Exactly.
that in within the Retirement Reimagined workshop series, what the participants get to learn is, yes, we do have obstacles. However, there's still value in being able to make a difference and being creative in what we want to prepare and what we want to do with our next chapter. Some people retire voluntarily. Other people retire, to your point, maybe because of an illness. Maybe their health isn't what it used to be, and they're not able to do what they have done for 30, 40 years. So let's pivot and figure out what's out there. I've had participants that have retired because of health issues, but are very creative. And so what might that look like? I love to do different types of crafty items, and I want to make some money off of it. So why not create a new business in that arena? And getting with a group of individuals who have different skill sets, that's where the magic happens too, Henry, is you have a group of individuals who are motivated to move forward. And as one participant put it, I found my 2.0. um, and then they work together as a group. And now you have a whole other group of professionals that you can lean on. And if COVID taught us anything, it's the importance of that human connection that is so important, and working with others. One participant said it was motivating, finding my why. We hear a lot that. What is your why, your purpose? You learn about yourself, you discover that you're not always defined by what you did for all those years when in your younger years, and you get to learn more about yourself and other people that are similar to you. That was very powerful.
Mm-hmm. And Henry, I want to get back to your example, right? Your question about someone who's experiencing a health issue or a new challenge comes up, right? Maybe sometimes in the middle of the 9 weeks they're with us in class. One of the benefits is that Becky, who is such a resourceful person and a wealth of knowledge, facilitates the workshops. And so participants meet with Becky for a private appointment before they begin, and they meet with Becky halfway through. And so at that midpoint meeting halfway through, the conversation really extends beyond the scope of the workshop series as far as what other resources might be helpful. You brought up someone that might have Alzheimer's disease. So Becky is able to give them resources for cognitive training classes, for caregiver support programs, if it's a loved one that has Alzheimer's, any sort of support and resources that an older adult needs. That's the value not only of Retirement Reimagined, but of Retirement Reimagined being a part of Jewish Family Service, is that we have so many people and programs and resources within our agency and in the broader community that can help. And most often, people might not reach out to us until they're in crisis. So by having a doorway connection with Becky, people are often getting this resource information on the earlier side, when they can sometimes be more helpful than after a full-blown crisis has occurred, if that makes sense to you.
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, again, being proactive rather than reactive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking out loud, and that is, as a lawyer, in certain parts of the profession, we had mandatory retirement ages. And let me give you examples. Judges in Michigan, I'm talking about state judges, once they reach 70, cannot run again. They can finish out a term, but they cannot run for re-election. Federal judges are lifetime appointments. Many law firms have, and I know accounting firms also would have mandatory retirement ages, where you'd either have to step out and leave or else take some type of reduced status. So I don't know if these are things that you deal with, especially for someone who's, not ready to turn it in, especially in certain professions. And then I know a lot of doctors who can't wait to get out of the profession.
It's true with all the insurance regulations, right? The reason that we have Retirement Reimagined at Jewish Family Service and that it has such proven outcomes is because in many parts of the world, Henry, there's a mandatory retirement age. There are nations that have mandatory retirement age. And so they have had to figure out how can they help people have meaning and value and thrive in retirement. And so when we were looking to bring something here, we were able to look at options for retirement preparation programs, and we chose the one that had the best results, because here in the United States, it's, as you said, it's by occupation, your example with judges. It's also by company. Some companies might have a mandatory retirement age of even 65. So, but we as a nation don't have that. So we haven't had to figure out what do we do here until enough people are in retirement and they're searching a little bit. They're not thriving the way they had thought they would be. So it's an excellent point that you make. Also, sometimes people retire because their position's eliminated, right? Mm-hmm. That can happen at any age, but if this happens at a younger age, most people will need to find other work. But if your position's eliminated at a later age, sometimes that puts a different take on why you're retiring.
That's interesting. You're raising a very good point, because I think especially now with the beginning of AI, which I don't fully understand it, to be quite honest with you. It's going to eliminate a lot of jobs, perhaps parts of professions, and I think there are going to be a wave of people who are retiring or forced out. And also, you got the fact with the slashes through what's going on in Washington, you've got a lot of people who've been forced to retire or forced out of jobs where they can't find replacements very easily. So there's a lot of this going on now, uh, not only just locally, but nationally and also on a society basis.
I think that you bring up again a very valid point. I mean, the participants that we've had, we are going on our 4th cohort. Um, check all those boxes from, a forced retirement, primarily because of an ailing spouse, a layoff, a job elimination, voluntarily retiring. I think, we can take individuals that fit into these categories and put them, have them participate in this workshop. And it's really magical to see. First of all, people want to feel valued. They want to feel like they can make a difference. They want to, help others intuitively and innately, and giving them that hope and some direction. And we create goals for ourselves, and we talk about the importance of being proactive versus reactive, and how we're wired. It's a really well thought out, intentional workshop series that by the end of the series, it is hoped that people have a new direction and a new take on what's next for me. Because retirement can happen at any age for really any reason per se. And we're definitely finding that out right now.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. It's a transition, and a friend of mine, he had a very successful business. He sold out, and he probably sold. He said he sold out too early, and he said for the first 6 months, it was very rough. He was depressed, didn't know what to do, and then he finally eased into things. And I don't know. From a personal standpoint, I think you need 3 things. Just my own 2 cents worth. One, you need enough finances so you're okay. 2, you need some modicum of health, because if your health goes, then everything kind of goes haywire. And 3, I think you need a passion. You need interests. You need to keep interactive socially, but you need something that you're passionate about. I mean, it can be a hobby. It can be just doing things. It can be doing volunteer work, but you've got to have something that you really care about. And that's just kind of my own 2 cents worth.
It's
Becky,
really important. Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, how many participants do you have in each go around, so to speak?
So I like to call my sweet spot, right? The sweet spot of participants is anywhere between 10 and 12. That allows for a very interactive group of individuals. We've had smaller groups too, and people have appreciated that as well. But in an ideal situation, between 10 and 12 is wonderful. One of our classes, we had 9 people. It was perfect. One of our classes, we had 5. And the feedback I received was, this was great. And that they really liked the smaller group. But I would, in an ideal world, 10 to 12 participants is really where we would love to be. But we've done classes with smaller people, smaller groups as well.
What about the breakdown between men and women?
Great question. It's pretty been 50-50, believe it or not. In fact, ironically, my class right now is all men. So it really varies, because when I'm putting together a group of individuals for the classes, it's kind of like putting together puzzle pieces. We want to find a common day that everyone can meet. We want to, make sure that they can make that commitment. And I've had classes on Mondays and Wednesdays. We might have a class on a Tuesday, depending on the availability of the participants. But, men and women both, and they both see value in it. And I like to see the combination of men and women both in the group, but one does not make a better group than the other, I guess, as far as outcomes, which is really important. We do see some really, really positive outcomes in the group. Not to mention a new group of friends that people make that they might not have known otherwise.
Becky, tell us about some successes.
So, excuse me. So I think the best way to talk about some successes is really to focus on some feedback that we've received, right? I can talk to you about how wonderful and empowering the classes are. But, Lynn mentioned earlier, one participant said, I found my 2.0. Another participant said, this is more than what you think. Being in a diverse group can help you re-examine what you're doing in this phase, like rethinking what you could do or accomplish. There's so many more possibilities out there. We are so not done. And I found that, incredibly powerful. One person was feeling a little stagnant, right? And lacked some direction in their next chapter, and felt that taking this course really gave them hope and specific direction on what they want to accomplish next. It was motivating for them. They're feeling, Lynn alluded to an individual who felt they didn't feel relevant anymore. I think, finding that you're relevant and that we all matter, no matter where we are, is so critical to us as humans, right? As individuals wanting to make a difference. We all want to make a difference. You have, the class was amazing. You have nothing to lose. That's what one participant said to me. I walked in really not knowing, and I walked out knowing more about myself, knowing more about the value that I can bring to others, to make a difference. So it's incredible to see the magic happen in the room. It really is.
Lynn, what are some final thoughts that you can share with our viewers?
So final thoughts is that the workshop series is so engaging and empowering. So my best advice is don't wait. If you feel you could be just a little more satisfied in this phase of life, if you're curious about what else there might be, or if you just feel like you're searching for something and haven't quite found it yet, don't wait, right? None of us are getting any younger, myself included. So just please reach out to us. You can call Becky right at 248-592-3961 and get on the wait list for the next class.
And when is it starting?
Probably early in the year, like January, but Becky would know better than me.
Yeah, we're looking at mid to late January, and it's kind of like I said, moving puzzle pieces, to make sure everything fits. But we're looking at mid to late January is our next cohort of individuals.
We're out of time now. Lynn Breuer, Becky Eizen, Retirement Reimagined. It sounds great. And I want to thank you both for being my guests on Gracefully Graying. I want to thank our viewers for watching Gracefully Graying, and of course our sponsors for making Gracefully Graying possible. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Henry.
Wonderful work.